How's it going, YouTube? Right, we're back on the camper again today. I want to get all the insulation stuff finished, mainly because I've got stuff everywhere, look. I've got insulation all over the place. I've got wood there stacked up against the wall. It really shouldn't be stacked up because it'll warp. But this is for the floor and the ceiling, so it's getting screwed up in plenty of places, so it should straighten up okay. It'll be fine. But what I want to do is I want to get all this cleared out so I can space these legs, and when the furniture ply comes I want to be able to lay it on these nice and flat. So what I want to do today is I want to get the floor done and I want to get the ceiling done, and then that should be all the insulation kind of bits out of the way. I still need to do these back doors as well. Before I do the ceiling though, there is some wires that I do need to run in. I know I said that I'm going to make it so I can run all the wires in a bit later on, and then once the van's built and if I do any changes or anything like that, there'll be cable runs. That is still going to happen. But in the ceiling there is some that I do need to run in straight away, like the lights that are going around here. There's going to be some strip lights down the middle, and then on this fan, and also I'm going to get one of those max shade cover things, so it's got the lights here so it'll match that vent down there, because I absolutely hate the look of that one. It's horrible. So I'm going to need to run all the wires in for those sort of things. All the solar and stuff like that, that's going to come in just about there, and I'm going to make a cutout in the roof there because that's going to be inside of a cupboard. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a board inside the cupboard that velcros up to cover all that up, and then it'll come down inside a false wall, and we'll talk about all that later. But I will have a little cutout in the ceiling here somewhere, so I can drill a big hole out and put a gland and everything out there for the solar and any spotlights and things that are going on the roof. But the first job is we want to get this floor in. So what I'm going to do, it's going to be the 25mm PIR insulation. So what I'm going to do is these battens here, they're 25mm battens. I'm going to lay some battens out on the floor there, the full length of the vehicle. I'm going to sit them on top of this bit here, and then I'll do some cross ones, and the cross ones will be in line with where the wood comes to. We'll have a look at that in a bit. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay some down here, spread them out the full length of the vehicle. Right, these are 3.6 meters long, so they should be right to start with. Yeah, 3.6 is looking about right. Right, if I'm going to be screwing one onto the end of there, that is where my floor is going to come to. So that is exactly about right. So those at 3.6 are right. So what I need is another one either side, filling in this gap here. I need one just in front of these. And then what I'll do is I'm going to put some cross pieces in. But the cross pieces, this board here, it's 8x4 sheets, so it's 1220mm wide. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fit the board's width ways. So from that end down there, I'll go 1220. That'll be where the end of the board will lie. So I want one under this board, where this is, and then one under the next board. So there's plenty where the join will be. So what I'll do is everywhere where there's a join, I'll put two of those. All down here. Right, so I'm going to get those out now, and I'll see you back when these are down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some of this stuff, and I'm just going to put it under there, and I'm going to stick those down, and that'll be plenty. Right, there's all the basic framing. What I am going to do though, before I put any insulation, is I'm going to wait for it to stop raining properly and all this dry out. I'm going to do it on a bit better day than it is today, because I don't want to trap any moisture under there. I want it to be completely dry. And then what I'm going to do is once that's dried out, I'm going to use this 25mm insulation here. I'm going to cut that out, put it in all those gaps, and then I'll use the foil tape to cover everything all over, because I want that sealed. I don't want any damp at all getting under that floor. So I'll see you in a second on a better day, and I'll get all this insulation in, and once it's in I'll see you back here. Right, we've had some sun and I've managed to get that insulation done. Let's have a look. Right, so what I've done is I've just cut it out, I've put it all in the gaps, and then I've taped over with a silver foil tape, and that's tidied it all up all nice. I've also insulated the back doors around the windows and got those ready as well. If we have a look around the side of the van, what I've done in here, because this is a high traffic area, so you're going to be in and out here all the time, so I've doubled that up and made that nice and strong. I've also insulated the back of that panel there. With my wood, I'm not going to scribe it right in. I'm going to take it to this edge here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a board and put the board straight across the front of there, hopefully leaving a gap here so I can make something to put the table leg in there. Or that's my plan anyway, is trying to make a little area that goes onto the top of there and lifts open, and I can put the table leg in this bit. I'll probably carpet it or something inside to make it nice, and then it'll be like a table leg holder. That's what I'm thinking. Over this other side, what I've done here is I've left a bit of a gap all the way down the side. I'll worry about insulating all this later, but the reason I've done that is because I want a nice run all the way down the side of the van. So I'm going to get the heater and stroke water heater somewhere here under the seating. So I need to be able to run the pipe down there for the air outlets. And also I need to run some wires from the cab all the way down. Right, so we're ready now to lay all the ply down on this. But what I want to do first is I want to insulate the roof. The main reason is so I can get rid of this last bit of insulation in here, and I need to make some room in this garage. What I need to do is I need to spread these legs out here so I can put the ply on, so I can get the plunge saw out, and then we can cut the wood where we need to cut it. At the minute everything's lent up, I need to be able to lay it flat on there. So I need to clear all this insulation out. The best thing I can do with that is fit it. Right, on the roof panels, what I want to do is get a bit of 12mm ply on here, like just a strip of it all the way across, because I want to be able to screw my roof to that. And in between, in this bit here, this leaves just enough room to get 25mm insulation. So I'm going to put the 25mm PIR boards on there. What also I need to do right at the back end is we need something to screw the roof onto. So if I get a bit of wood, I'll show you. Right, so up here where the roof comes along, I don't want it just flapping about up there. I want to get something to screw to. So what I need to do is I need to get some wood across here, but I need it to be in line with the other bits. So if I hold a bit of wood over here so it's level, and then I can follow it along, and at that edge there I can get that, and right at the top I can put a pencil mark on. What I need to do, once I've put a pencil mark on there, I need to measure 12mm below to account for the plywood, and then what I can do is I can push this up to the line and then I can screw it onto this back, and then hopefully this will follow the profile of the 12mm ply that's running across those bits there. And then that will follow the profile of the 12mm ply running across this. Right, so I'm going to get the bit of wood up this back, and I'm also going to get this insulation in these gaps up here. I'm going to do that now. Right, that's all the insulation in. Do you know, sometimes there's some jobs that you really shouldn't do on your own. This is probably one of them. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that to stick up, and then before I tape it up, there's a couple of wires I've got to put in. I need to put some wires in for the lights in there, and I need to put the wires in for the lights in the fan. What I'm going to do when I do the roof is about this sort of area, I'm going to leave a little notch cut out there, because that'll be in a top cupboard. There's going to be cupboards running all the way along here, and then what that'll be is that'll be the way out to get to the solar and the spotlights and anything else I decide to put on the roof. I want to make it so I can do that afterwards. Because obviously if I fit a 4G aerial and then later on change my mind of what aerial I want, or I fit extra solar or anything like that, I need a way up. There's obviously going to be cable runs up the wall and stuff like that. We'll look at that later. But what I am going to do is leave a square out there inside that cupboard, and it's going to have a Velcro panel that sticks up to cover it up inside the cupboard. But there's going to be access to the outside there, so we'll do that later. So once this has gone off and I've put these cables in for these skylights, I'm going to put an extra cable in for that one down there, because what I want to get is one of those max shade covers, I think it's called. It's got the lights in. What it does is it looks like this one, and it's got a blackout blind, and it matches to fit over there, because I hate that cover. So I'm going to get one of those, and then it'll have lights in it as well. So I'm going to run 2 wires out for there, one on a switched one for the lights and one that's a permanent one for the fan. Right, so we'll be back, and then I'm going to put these ply strips across. So I'll see you in a second. Right, that's that done. I've actually got loads done as well. This is a couple of days later now. I've tidied all the garage up, look, so that's ready for doing all the wood panelling and stuff like that. In the van, let's have a look. What we can see there is the insulation's done now. I've still got some 12mm strips to put across that we'll cut out later. But I've also started to put a few wires in as well, because there's some wires that I won't be able to wire in afterwards, and that's the ones for these skylights here. As you can see, I've got one here coming out the back of this skylight. That's for this blind cover that's got the 2 LEDs on. So they're coming out here. This black line going down here, if you can see it, that is where the bathroom wall's going to be. So that's going to be a 2x1 wall, because I want that to be a hollow wall to get the plumbing and wiring in. So everything's going to come in here for some switches in the back of this wall. As you can see there, I've labelled them up so I can wire them up later. So what I've got is I've put one in for the skylight there. What are you doing around here? Get back in that back garden. Right, the other wire dangling down here at the back end, that's for the roof lighting. Because I'm going to have a oak slatted panels, I'm going to have 2 strips of LEDs all the way down the slats. So that's what that one's for there. At the front, what we've got is I've wired in the fan there with one, and then the other one that's dangling down here. What I've found is they do a max shade cover for this that's like a blind with the 2 lights on, the same as that one, so it'll match. So what I've done is I've ordered one of those, the max shade cover thing for that, and that's going to have the matching lights and everything in there. So that's why there's a second wire there. So that's the wiring in the roof that I needed to get in now. Next job is we need to get some plywood down on here. So like I said, I've got the workshop ready, we've got the saw out and ready, so we can start cutting the wood. And as I said earlier, I'm not going to scribe it into this back or anything like that. I'm just going to take it straight up to this line and straight across, because we're going to do something else there later on. I'll worry about that later. So that should literally be a straight panel that's coming across this section here, and then another straight panel across that section there, and then a third panel that's cut out for the wheel arches, and I think it's going to be a tiny little bit short there. So what I might do is put a little strip on, but then I'm going to get a bit of angle over the end anyway, so that'll cover that up. Right, so we'll get the tape measure, get some wood cut out, and then we can screw that down. I've also got some poly filler, so when it's all down, I can fill in the gaps to make sure that nothing shows through when we put the flooring down. So let's get this screwed down. Right, I've just got to scribe in that back corner, just so it goes around there, just so I can push it up to that bit there. And then that'll be in, and I can get that screwed down. Right, I've just taken a little bit of time and I've made 2 cardboard templates to go around these wheel arches. I want to use these for the wood, and I also want to use them for the vinyl when I come to put that down, or the rubber matting, or whatever I decide to put down. I think before I go any further, I've not screwed that one down yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the back. I'm going to bring the board right up to the end of here, and then put the next one on and then I'm going to see where that one lines up, because if I have to box that out a little bit more at the front, I will, rather than having a odd patchy bit there. But to be honest, I think as it is, I've just measured it up and I can fit 3 sideways along there with that one exactly where it is, just leaving this little gap at the front here. Right, so I'm going to transfer these templates onto some wood and get this bit cut out. Right, so I've got a few bits ready now. Let's have a look. Right, as you can see here, we've got all the flooring now. I've screwed it all down. So what I'll do later is I'll fill all those screw holes up with that filler that I've got. That goes right to the front. I've left that gap like I said. If you look up on the roof up there, what you'll see is there's some 12mm ply battens that I've made to put in between all the insulation. So that'll give us something to screw to for the roof. That's literally 12mm bits of ply that I've just screwed up. And I've put those all the way down the front, right into this one here, because this roof panel I'm going to make go straight across as far as it can go, so it hits this, and then that'll square off that bit nicely. So what I've got to do now is the next thing, I've got to put some ply up on the roof. I've got some 5mm ply to put up on the roof just to give us something to screw to, because like I said, I'm going to fit the acoustic slatted panels on there. I think they're just like a felt back. So what that'll do is that'll give me something to screw up to on this roof. Once I've got the 5mm ply. But what I need to do is the first one, I need to take it from this batten, and I'm going to take it past this one to this batten here, halfway. And then the next one I'm going to take to this batten, and I'm going to do it between each one like this. So I'm going to have to cut every one of them to size, because I don't want the join coming halfway in between. I want the join to be on the batten. I mean, none of those panels you're going to see them anyway, but I want the join to be on the batten, so they're both screwed up to each one of these battens. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut some bits of ply. This is easy enough to cut the hole out, because I can literally just measure from the back here to there to get this measurement. This is a 400mm hole, and then obviously the centre of this is in the centre of the panel. So I can mark those up down there on the bench and cut them out ready. Let's get these panels marked up, cut out, and get them all screwed up. That's the roof done, and I managed to get a load of other stuff done as well. Look at this workshop. I've put a little shelf up there, so I've got everything to do with woodworking on this shelf. So I've got a bit of an area organised now, so when I'm making the furniture. So that should make things a little bit easier. I've got all my offcuts of wood there, they will all get used. I ended up having to nip out and get some more of this 5mm plywood, because I was one bit short for the ceiling, but I also need it to do all the sides and the door covers and all that sort of stuff. So I've got another 5 sheets, so hopefully that'll be enough to do everything. But this 5mm ply, I am going to use some of this for the furniture as well, because it is super lightweight. And I got a load of lengths of 2x1 as well, so we can make our wall inside and some other bits like that. One super important investment that I've bought so I can really embrace van life. I've got some Superman rubber sliders, and I'm even wearing them with socks as well for the full effect. Nobody can say I'm not prepared for this camper. Right, so let's have a look inside. As you can see, all the roof panels are up now. So I've cut out there for this skylight. I've put a little hole in this back corner because that's where the wire's going to come through on the cover. Just in front of it, I've done a slot. The reason I've done a slot is because we're going to have the planked ceiling, and I'm going to have 2 strips of LEDs all the way down. I don't know exactly where they're going to be yet, so I can move this side to side, and also I need a loop between one and the other. So I've made this a bit of a slot so I can push everything back in there when I come to wire that bit up. Down at the next one, that's also cut out the same. We've got the little bit here coming down for this max shade cover so we can wire up the lighting. And they're hidden in there, look, there's the wiring for the fan. So the ceiling, I've taken it straight past. What I'm going to do is, I don't know whether I'm going to wood the back yet or carpet it. I'll make up my mind later. But I do want a minimum amount of carpet in this van. I'll talk about it in the next video, but I want to keep the carpet to an absolute minimum and put it in places where you're not going to really be able to see. So behind panels and things like that, when you take panels off, it will be carpeted behind it because I want it to look finished. But I don't want the carpet really on show. Only tiny little bits here and there. So the next video, I can start doing some interesting stuff. I've got enough materials to cover all of these walls now. So all the walls can get covered. This door panel can get covered. The back doors can get covered now and done. So I should be able to finish all of the walls to a point of putting the cupboards in and things like that. Apart from the bathroom, I've not got any panels for the inside of the bathroom yet. As you can see there, I've already started to build the bed frame. Right, so that's going to be it for this video. I don't know how much we'll get done in the next video, but I definitely want to start getting some wall panels done so you can see the colour schemes and the materials I've used. I've got them all delivered and they look quite nice actually. And hopefully we'll get some of this backlighting fitted hidden behind panels so you can see how that's going to look as well. I'll get at least one done in the next video. Right, so like this video if you liked it. Comment below. I like to read your comments, especially around the build and what you'd like to know. Subscribe if you want to see more of this build and more of other stuff. And that's enough for this video, and I'll catch you again later. Cheers.